Well, it's 4:00. We're going to call the street committee and the FUPR committee to order. So, first item on the agenda for the street committee. Who is the chairman of that? You?
Me.
You, all right. So I just wanted to say that I have got some calls about the streets and they've all been positive. Everyone who's called me has thanked me for the way that the city got out ahead of all of the traffic and sanded. I mean, I realized there was the day that the buses didn't run in the morning, but it wasn't because we didn't sand around the schools. It was the outer areas that they couldn't get to. Then I also got an email from Mary Jo, and she said, I just read the agenda for the street committee. In addition to the public works sanding the intersections, I would like them to know on behalf of the ambulance crew, we really appreciate the great job of sanding that they do around the hospital. And that's true too, because that's a hilly area and it's always really well sanded. So
It was on Sunday when I had to go up there.
yeah, so thank you, Mr. Cian. If you could pass that on to your guys, it's very, very much appreciated.
It's been busy. He's like, oh, we're out, man. And so I went out, drove around, and guys were up. We were ready to go. Trucks were loaded and ready to go early in the morning. And I mean, when you're in that situation, you know it's coming. There's no excuse not to do it, right? It was one of those where we we were sanding the night before, and I told you around 9 o'clock, I was like, just stop because we get the basement. At a certain point, you're just wasting it now. Like most of the traffic's off, everybody knows it's icy at this point. Stay at home, you can't keep doing this all night long. We didn't have the resources for it. So. But we knew it would be bad in the morning, so we planned ahead and we prepared it.
Good job, Frank. Okay. Anything else?
No, that was all I had.
Okay. Is there any public comment on the streets committee? Or streets? Anything else from anybody else?
I don't think so.
No. Well, then we can officially adjourn the meeting at 4:02 p.m.
All right.
Can you be that fast, Mike? Right?
Good question. Good question. No.
On the FUPR committee, I don't know how I did it. You guys could trade me in for a new model, but I did put budget and overtime, but I forgot to mention, we're going to look at the budget for the study commission. So everybody has that. I gave everybody a copy of it. So right now, we've spent $2,825 on training. 825 was the amount going to Sydney for the training, and then 2,000 is the training package that was purchased. So if you're looking at your budget thing, the local government study commission budget is on page 14. And that does reflect what we've paid so far. Maria Walker is here. She is the chairperson of the committee, if we have any questions for her. So.
Not really a question. Let me say we called the FUPR meeting to order here. So,
all right.
Just a comment. The budget I'm gathering here is like most of our budget's annual, and the study commission budget is a biannual. It's a 2-year budget. So is that correct, Mayor? $12,000 for 2 years.
Yes.
Not 12,000 per year. So yeah.
It is for 2 years.
Okay. Okay.
So they're not going to need any more training moving forward? Like this was a one-time training to start?
Go ahead, Maria.
You know, $3,000 package. Complete the training. What we have to do is study equipment. After that, we have in that package additional webinars that we will be allowed to participate in, as well as two-hour question and answer sessions we can do if we choose. And then we also have 8 phone calls if we need additional help with something. So any additional training is covered in that 2,000. The 825 is not reflected because we didn't know the cost date at that time.
Right.
We will move it from miscellaneous to training in our next meeting.
Okay.
But yeah, there should not be any additional training costs or travel costs that we know of at this.
And then if I recall correctly, the election expenses has a little asterisk by it because if you're able to complete your study and decide that you do want to have an election to take it to the voters to change the form of government, that's what the 3,000 is for. But we have to find out from Shirley exactly how much an election costs. So.
We used what the county estimated as an off-year amount.
Okay.
So the county estimated if they have to do an election outside of a normal election cycle, it would cost you 3,000. This is a 2-year study and it will not end on a municipal voting period. It will end on a
General election.
the county voting
Yeah.
period. It is going to be outside of our election, so it will be added to their election. It probably won't cost us 3,000, but we wanted to go high so that we're short.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Maria, on the advertising, then the public hearings and all that require, at least for the city, they require 2 different notices. I don't know if that's 2 different bills per se. I mean, we do it for 2 weeks. I guess that's, 2 weeks worth. So I know every public hearing is advertised, and that's how you came up with the 500. That seems not a bad deal from what I catch.
That's why we have some left in the miscellaneous, because we're like, well, if advertising costs go up in 2025 or 2026, when we start trying to advertise for public hearings, and there's a community thing that's very specific. I can't remember the exact title of it off the top of my head because we're not that far right now. That you have to do that has to be a big deal. So we kind of left some things open, but we're kind of hoping to utilize social media. Make it cheap.
Okay, so Mayor, on our agenda budget, is this what we have here, or is this a different item?
No,
The,
because
study
as
commission?
I'm saying, I forgot to put the budget for, so we're just starting with the budget for the study commission and then
Okay.
we'll move into this budget
Okay,
and the
okay.
overtime.
Yes, go ahead.
So from what I'm, just to make sure that I'm correct in my assumption. So far, the budget looks pretty good, and so it can be left as is, and then if there's kind of a surprise later, like especially in down the road in the summertime when we're doing a city budget, if we need to adjust something, we could adjust it then, right? So we don't need to do any
No,
budgeting on our side right now.
I don't think so, right? I think that this committee has to approve this budget and then the council has to approve it.
Okay.
Now, we have $1,000 for community engagement. Again, I don't know if all that money will be spent, but they are required to have a public hearing and 2 public hearings. And so, when we were at the meeting, we were talking about that some of this money would be used for food at the public hearing. Now, I don't know if we have any say in that, but I know in the past, I've never been to a public hearing that's provided any food, so there might be some savings there.
Does that's what you were looking at then? So, yeah, so we do as a committee, then we will recommend, this, and I guess if we had questions about how it was, that's what we're here for.
And we're committed to spending. That's why there's 4,000 and,
Yeah.
and, you know, a third of the budget, we chose not to put into a fund. So in hopes that we would not spend.
And that's good. It's kind of like a reserve account for you there. The survey then, how specific are your instructions on the survey? And is that hiring a professional? Okay,
It's on the meeting. We haven't finalized that agenda because they have up until prior to final, but for the next meeting, you haven't got a copy because I told them I'd send it in February for them to go through.
okay.
But at this time, what I would like to do is do a postcard with a link and a QR code. And if people would like a paper copy, that way it tallies us for us. We don't spend hours tallying it and it's convenient. And then that would be the $7.50. And then if they would like paper copies, I will leave some here at City Hall. And I have a couple businesses that have agreed to hold some in their businesses where people can pick them up. But again, the committee has to vote on that and agree to it. That's what's in my mind at this moment. They may say, no, we want to send a letter, in which case the price would go from $7.50 to $1,500 because letters are.
Okay, thank you. You guys have any other things you? Yeah, go ahead.
I think it is too, but I guess I would just say that, if we use the, for instance, the water department list of addresses to send it out, that would probably be better than, my previous experience with the survey and having it at downtown, that there were certain people that filled out the survey multiple times. So if we're not identifying them by address, then we can't be sure that they're city residents filling it out. And so
When you create a digital survey.
Yep.
So we put it street address and they have
Perfect.
to check a box, yes or no, are you a city resident? Will we get some outliers that may fill it out that live in the city?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
But
perfect.
the goal is there will be that caching of information to the fact.
Okay,
And
thank
then
you.
I only started looking at it because you can't keep them for too long
Mhm.
in the discard, so I just looked. There'll also be how many household members are of voting age, so that if we end up with 5 from the same address, did everybody say there were 5 voting age people in that house?
Good.
So that we're
Okay,
not-
well, you've thought of all my worries then. All right. Okay,
Well, unless you guys object, then we'll take this to the council for their approval, so. Okay, hearing no objections, we're gonna go ahead and recommend to the council their approval of the study commission budget. Just one thing, Mayor, now, as a technical, it's kind of more of a technical thing. So if the council approves it then, because usually, I guess we approve contracts for 2 years, so.
Mm.
So if we approve it, then it's good till 26, basically.
yeah,
Okay.
should be. That's my understanding.
Okay, did you want to go, you want to talk about budget and overtime? We'll go ahead and do that then. Those are connected. Item 1, budget and overtime. Is that the police
Yes,
department or-
it's not just the police department, so I did have Jessica run overtime report. No, actually Darcy did this. But so far, up until January, we have spent $89,254.76 on overtime. Fire is 14,302. Public Works is 40,237, and the PD is 34,715.
What
So
was the PD, sorry?
So that's the,
What was the last one, Mayor? I'm sorry.
oh, I'm sorry, it was 34,715, and I left off the
That's the police.
cents. That's the police, and so Public Works comes out of a different fund, not out of the general fund, but even with the overtime, if you look on your budget sheet, so we do have most of the areas are about where we would expect them to be for the year. Right around 46%, 35%, 47%. And then there's a few that are a little higher. I mentioned the executive services, that the cost of the League of City and Towns went way up, and we paid it, but we didn't budget for it. So I know you guys wanted to have a chance to look at this budget stuff, and you can sure spend more time on it if you want to, but I do feel that everybody has been trying to reduce costs, to reduce overtime. Of course, there's always going to be some overtime. We do have fires. We do have people get sick, and the PD has to cover their shifts, so you can't just leave a shift open. So overall, I was very impressed with the budget and the overtime. I'm going to continue to monitor it closely. And of course, if something starts to go south, I'll alert you guys and we'll try to correct it. But for now, things are really, I thought, within reason. Some of the items that are going up are costs like unemployment has gone up, workers' comp has gone up, federal income tax has gone up. So we have to pay this. So, it does appear in every area that those are more than we budgeted for. And so Live and Learn will be a little closer this year, I think, than we were last year, but overall, I think it's good. So if you guys have questions, I'll try to answer them. I'm not positive that I do have the answers, but I'll try.
Mayor, I have one question. So, we're contracted with Eide Bailey. They're very professional. Would they be able to provide, not that this isn't good?
This is from iDaily.
Oh, okay. Do they provide any summaries? I mean, you would think they would have tools that would, show, okay, this is a hot area here that's a potential for problems between now and the next budget year, or, we're trending bad, or some of the problems we have, like anything, like the doctor, he says, well, your blood sugar was high here and it's still high, but it's coming down, so let's keep doing what we're doing, that kind of thing. So anything besides the numbers where they would be able to gather some information and not be a huge cost to us to get that information.
I would have to identify what areas I want them
Okay.
to look at is all. And
Okay.
they could give me more information for certain.
Because they work with this quite a bit, and they would think you would catch things just by working with it now for year and a half anyway, going on 2 years, I
Yeah,
guess.
we're just one
Okay.
of their many customers, I think.
So all this comes from them.
Well, this is all their
Their numbers.
information, and then
We printed out.
then Jessica puts it together and prints it off for me. I do not, I'm just being honest. I would not be able to get these numbers myself. I don't know how to do that. So. Any other questions?
Yeah, any questions or comments? Yes, go ahead.
early.
I don't see anything on the agenda
Yeah.
for you, Frank.
You got
Okay.
anything to do with the damaged door?
No.
No, no, he doesn't.
Thanks, Frank. Okay, well, you guys, quite a bit to assume there, but, here you looked at, you thought there was nothing jumping out. Okay, you gave us a good summary.
Well, there were, a couple things, but I did figure out what they were, and then, this is kind of still on the budget. It's in number 2. It's the pool funds. So, that is, on page 7, the swimming pool. So the swimming pool's kind of goofy because although remember that this budget starts on July 1. So we've already had a year of the pool. And now, we have to get the pool through until July 1.
Too bad he just left.
No, because I think we're actually in really good shape because we'll probably maybe open the pool in June, so only 1 month of the pool will be on this budget. So when you look at number 7 here about the pool,
They normally fill it the end of May, just.
yeah, and the filling it,
So
I'm
it's
not
open
so,
June 1st
yeah,
for the swim team.
the thing that I'm concerned or not really concerned about, I'm not that concerned about it, but I think that we need to start planning for it. I sent out 21 letters to kids who had worked at the pool and asked them to get back to me if they would consider returning. So I got 2 responses back. And I feel that we are going to have a pool manager. I have talked to Frank, and it sounds like the public works will take over, like checking the chemical levels and as far as the mechanical part of the pool, filling it and all that. But we're going to need a pool manager to train the lifeguards, to schedule the lifeguards, and to oversee the day-to-day things at the pool. So that's kind of what I was bringing forward was, we have money in the budget, but I'm just curious about where is the best number to start at to be able to recruit someone as the pool manager. And I don't think we can get somebody for less than about $25 an hour. And I figured $25 an hour times 40 hours a week times about 12 weeks, it ends up being about 12,000 or something like that. So that can easily fit within this budget. But I feel like we're going to need to start fairly early because I don't know when these trainings are for lifeguards.
They start they would start planning them in April and May and start recruiting
Right.
in April and May.
Mm-hmm.
So then that way trainings were done and whatnot by June, like mid. So because the swim team they have their own stuff.
Right.
And so with our contract or with the swim team's contract with the city, like they would just do their own thing starting June 1st. And then the pool would open later for the public. And
I'm hoping we can have more time in the pool, more evening swims. We were closed most weekends. I'd like to see us try to keep it open more. It might cost a little more in lifeguards, but once we spend all that money on the chemicals and heating the pool, I really hope we can keep it open more and right up till school starts.
Maybe we could reach out, is it Des? It's the guidance counselor?
yeah,
That I spoke,
That's
maybe we
right.
could reach out to her and she could,
That's a good idea.
she might have some people in mind that would pick good candidates.
Are
And
you
I-
talking about the manager?
No, for like
Lifeguard,
lifeguards,
yeah.
manager.
and she talks to kids every day. So
Yeah. And the swim team too. I can talk to the swim team. They might have some kids who, the problem with the kids that are on the swim team that then they're the lifeguards, they're gone for swim meets every weekend,
Yes.
so. But still,
But
it
maybe
could
we
help.
Get a couple of.
Right, yeah. So I'll reach out. I'll reach out to those guys.
Be a good way to get summer body active.
There ain't enough years left in my life to get that summer bod going.
Emma's excited to be a lifeguard.
Mhm.
All she talks about.
Well, good. So anyway, I'm not sure. I thought it should come from here, but it's been a while since we've had a pool manager because we always had a rec director who picked that up. So I thought since this is FUPR and it's money that I should bring it forward here. But I think we'll also have to take it to personnel and because we'll have to create the position. Pool manager position.
Well, when the recreation director more or less didn't really want to be directly involved in the pool, they would find and appoint a pool manager who could have been the assistant recreation director.
Mm.
But we did have pool managers who probably were working at the city as assistant rec directors. And I could be wrong on this, but they might not have been full-time till summer.
Mhm.
In other words, they probably did better as the pool manager. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
that is a lot of hours. The person I'm thinking of, I think she would check in at night, and she would be around there quite a bit. And of course, the next person probably is the head lifeguard, or if there's a different title for it. But yeah, so the manager, may not even be anybody with the city now, and may not be anybody in school or just here for the summer, but
Right.
I mean, a lot of their
We've had that
their
in the
job
past.
is just mostly supervisory and public relations and administrative scheduling and dealing with teenagers. So yeah, I think that would be someone. What this guy say about time getting by?
Well,
But the way things are going, Jason, I may be needing some more part-time work. So, yeah, I don't know.
Are
Do
you
you?
volunteering to be the pool manager?
Well, no, not. Do you think?
He'd have to dust off his Speedo from
Sometimes I gotta burn that. But anyway, Mayor, so then, with this person, they'll be responsible for getting them to the training. What I'm getting at is, do you need somebody who's versed in lifeguard training and all that, or somebody who's a manager? I mean, they're not necessarily the same.
no, I think we
It's
just,
we had tried to get the one, somebody that could actually be a lifeguard, in other words.
I think now we need to find someone that's willing to go to the training to train the lifeguards. And then to me, it would be more of a management position that, of course, if you've trained the lifeguards, I'm sure that you're able to jump in and do a life-saving
Yeah,
thing if you needed to. But this is what I was looking at, and so I was just asking for direction on what you think would be a fair wage or a wage that we would be able to recruit somebody to basically donate their summer to the pool, because I'm asking it to be open 7 days a week, day and night. So they wouldn't have to work 8 hours a day, but they'll probably need to be there for some of the lessons. And then, maybe when the head guard is there, they don't need to be there. I don't want to get into overtime. I do want to make it work within a 40-hour-a-week schedule. But since it is gonna, hit our budget,
Short time.
right, that I thought I should bring it forward here. But if you guys are in favor of moving forward with it, and we could start at $25 an hour, I could try to start to put together a job description and bring it to the council, because it would be a new position as far as I know. And then we could move forward with hopefully starting to try to recruit somebody in February or March.
I think the sooner we get on it.
Yeah.
I think so too.
And I think 25 sounds good for a start.
Okay.
Do you know what would a senior lifeguard, I know it sounds like an
It's
oxymoron,
$18 an hour.
for our most experienced?
Yeah.
That's the
Okay.
head guard
Okay.
gets.
Because you definitely don't want to be where there's not much difference between them. And one has a great deal of responsibility there. Yeah, I think if we were actually got people to looking at them doing it by
Mm.
March,
Mhm.
and then maybe by early April, we got somebody going with it. Because like they were talking about with the trainings, and then I think somebody have to probably follow up with kids. I get why in January they're a lot better off than I was if Rhett wants to go back in time. But June's a long ways away for a lot of boys anyway. But girls, maybe they are thinking ahead a little bit. And of course, some of those kids that did it, that would be good. We don't know exactly what the experience is like. That's obviously the most important thing to somebody coming back is that it was a good experience. So
They're gonna have to have a basic understanding of the pool too, you know, like Frank's gonna have to go over there and kind of give them here's the red button, if
Mhm.
something goes wrong.
Well, I think in the past, they pretty much called Public Works when something was amiss. So I don't think that's gonna be a big change. We might just dedicate one or two people to the pool so that we don't have to train everybody on all the whole pool system, but that's kind of down the road. I just wanted to move this forward so that I could start working on the job description and get it on the next council agenda maybe.
yeah,
So-
key thing will be have the hours. So like you said,
Mhm.
they're within a normal schedule.
Right.
It's not 40, that's fine. But we don't want more than 40, and we don't want people on call that are making phone calls to Frank, and then we got to pay them for their phone call to Frank and that kind of crap.
Yes.
But, you know, and
But I think that when she does the job description, she can outline that
Right.
pretty clearly, that this is the protocol when something does go amiss at the pool, that, you know, Tanner gets called in. You're not getting paid to sit there and play on your phone while Tanner's doing the work, you know, or whatever it is. So
who do they report to? The manager directly. You?
Maybe by then we'll have a director of finance.
Oh. Oh, okay.
It's looking good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, somebody would, yeah, and they can kind of go through, if we did have a director, they could go through the money policies at the
Mhm.
pool too, which
Yeah.
would help out, so. But I'm sure a person in that situation would have questions. And, you know, there's gonna be a lot of people telling them how this place should operate. And I'm not talking about anybody here, people out there, because that happens, and that's normal, and that's, you know, to be expected. But they might need somewhere else to say, okay, what am I supposed to do here, and that kind of thing. So, okay, you'll have to put that in your chart, Mayor, for the, what do we call that? Our little power tree chart there.
Well, this is just a temporary summer job.
And then before we move on to number 2, going backwards, do you happen to have a comparison number on the overtime compared to where we were last year?
Well, I know that for all of last year, it was 261,000, so we're at about a third, right around a third. And we're at half the year, so it has gone down, although I will say, you know, I really wanted to see no overtime. And I told people we don't budget for overtime, but Bailey did put a 4% of our salary in for overtime, so we're still well within our wiggle room there. And
So then, Mr. Coon said we should go back. So then on account 5, it's on page 7, right below the pool. I don't know if that's why I noticed this. There's probably about 20 things like this we would all notice at different places in the budget here. But professional services under miscellaneous, I was thinking engineering, but I'm not sure what that is actually.
this could be Bailey, I'm not sure either.
It says we've committed 36,000 already this year, so We're not
I-
sure what that.
I've got a feeling.
Oh, that could be.
It's one of these fractional things of I Bailey. We have that money throughout the budget. I mean, Jess is here. She could probably help us, but that's what I'm gonna guess that it is, because I did find it in a few different spots and
What if you look at the- It should be, that's the amount we approved last year for Ide Bailey, so that would make sense.
How'd you get that? Cause it shows 55,000 here where I'm looking for, appropriation for the professional services. Well, that's okay, but I think the mayor made a point that I'd forgotten about as she said, Ide Bailey's kind of sliced throughout it because some of it comes from public
come from
works or.
5 different
Yeah,
spots.
yeah, so. Yeah, so that could be, I was just wondering, at first I thought it was way out of whack, but it's 2/3 spent for half the year through, but I thought it might be engineering for a project too. So those things, you spend it, you do it,
Then it's over
you're
for
done.
the year.
And okay, anyway.
Could be.
Like I said, there's probably a whole bunch of other things we'll come across there, and I guess Mayor will deal with you on them, or we could talk about them next month or whenever it is that if it's something that needs to be. So far, these are all FYIs. We're going to move ahead with them, but there's no council action. So the next one, I believe, would probably be a council action. The assistant chief moving to chief wage and benefits.
Yes, Assistant Chief Katie Mills has been serving as the acting chief of police since June of 2024, when the Glendive Chief of Police, Jeremy Swisher, was charged with 3 felony fish and game violations and was placed on administrative leave. While Ms. Mills has served as the acting chief of police for over 6 months, she has not been paid at the police chief level. So we did have an interview yesterday, and so the personnel committee were here, and I did get the support of the personnel committee to move her to the position of acting police chief and paying her at the current police chief level. This would be effective January 1st, 2025. The money is in the budget. It amounts to a few $100s a month, which is not very much considering that she's been doing it for 6 months, and I feel that it's a reasonable request, and I'd like to move forward with paying her.
I'm confused. You guys had an interview for a new chief?
No.
Oh, you said we had an interview.
I'm sorry. We just had an interview yesterday for the director of operations. And so I had.
Okay, how are we gonna give her more money just to?
Sorry, that probably
If we're
was.
gonna cheat.
But I had the personnel committee all in a room, so I was able to get their approval. And so the reason that I'm bringing it here is because it is a few $100s a month, but we do have the money in the budget, and I'd like to move forward with approving that or taking it to the council for
So
approval.
now we know the real reason why she dressed up that day. He was still in a district court, but really.
Can I ask you a question, Ms. Mel? Then, so if we do this, which I am in, like, I would like to see this happen as well, and you take this position, are we looking for still then a new chief? Or are you willing to take this on as your full-time job? I mean, yes, you are already doing it. and
She's
you're doing a
the
wonderful job.
acting, she's the acting chief?
Yes, I know she is,
Yeah.
but currently there's not an opening. Right, well, that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that what are we doing? And maybe this is not the right time to ask this question, but what are we doing? Because what I would hate to see is, especially for our budget and for you, is that we move you up in pay, which I think you do deserve, and I'm more than happy to move this forward and say yes to it. But then if we move on from Jeremy Swisher, and we hire, if you don't want this position, like, are you gonna take a pay cut down the road?
I could, let, I'm gonna interject here for a second. I'm gonna interject. A lot of ifs, and I'm not
Yeah,
gonna,
there's a
and
lot.
I don't want the ifs. Do you still want to be the acting chief? Because I've addressed you in my reports and stuff as acting chief. So again, this will move forward. So you would still be considered the acting chief. So is that correct, or is it?
Of acting, true acting chief.
Okay, okay,
Feeling.
okay.
Because technically she is a fill-in right now. She's
Okay.
not acting chief. I mean, she is, but it's interim, right?
Well, it's a lot more complicated
Yeah.
than we're letting on here. So as you're aware, we expected that the trial was going to be next month.
Right.
And now it's been continued until June. So I won't speak for Katie, but I think since we thought this was going to be a short-term thing, she didn't ask for more pay and I didn't offer it. I thought it was a very temporary thing. It's going to be a year before the trial. So I feel that she should be paid as the
Agreed.
chief for, and we really can't say what's going to happen in the future because I don't know what's going to happen with this case. I've been told by some people it's going to be dismissed. I've been told by other people, he's going to be convicted. So I don't know. And so we don't know that, but for the interim, while she's doing the job, I'm bringing it to this committee because again, it's a little bit of money. It is in the budget, but my understanding is we had to bring everything that we spend money on to the FUPR, and it can't go straight to the council. So that's all I'm asking for. I'm not going to get into what the city's options are because I'm really not sure. And legally, I'm not supposed to talk about any of that. So this is a pretty simple question. If you guys are in favor of it, then we'll,
Just one follow-up. Would this affect the other employees in the police department in terms of somebody else moving up to them? I mean, not today or next week when we approve this, but would then somebody then take over more of what were traditionally your duties as you take on different duties? That's probably
Short
everything.
answer is no.
Okay.
And the reason why is the captain, detective, he's so overwhelmed with cases, he can't help me with my duties. That's why I'm so strong.
Okay.
And he's the only other one that's a good.
And just, this is, so in reality, what I think I heard was that even with us paying you maybe closer to what you should get, probably not, but a little bit, you'll still be swamped. In other words, changing the title and the money doesn't change all the duties that you have
still
to
doing
take care
two
of.
jobs.
Yeah, well, that's, thanks. We owe you, not just us, the city too. Everybody owes you gratitude. Thanks, Katie. So what is your title then, Katie? I always refer to you as acting chief, and I'm like, I don't know, that doesn't sound okay. That's okay. Acting. Okay, interim chief. Okay, thank you. All right, thanks, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you.
And then you got reserve police officers and fire cadets. That's a Katie thing? Wow, look at that sunset, guys. Where's our artists? We better get.
Beautiful. Well, Katie gave me the policy for the reserve patrolman. And I've read through it. I don't see a problem with doing the reserve patrolman for the police department because they have a policy. I don't see where it ever is going to cost the city any money. at least not until a person is trained who can take over a job. And then we would be paying them when they're working for an officer. You know, like
Officer be off.
officer
reserve
be off
working,
sick
so
and and we would have a reserve
wouldn't really
patrolman.
cost us.
Yeah.
But we're talking down.
Yeah,
Let's not
and
get
Katie
somebody
explained that.
qualified.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I've been able to determine about the fire cadets, on the other hand, is a little bit of a different story. So West Glendive does have some junior firefighters. But right now, as I think we're all at this table and probably everyone in this room is well aware, that we don't have a fire manager. We recently had a full-time firefighter resign to take another position. So we have 3 full-time firemen who are all at the lieutenant level. I don't see that at this time trying to start a fire cadet program without leadership or really even knowing who'd be willing to step up with it. So the fire cadet is going to cost a little bit of money because they have to have protective gear, and all the fire gear has a lifespan. So I'm not comfortable telling a 16-year-old kid to put on somebody's 20-year-old gear and respond to a fire. So that is something that we're going to have to look at if it's something that we really want to do. Personally, I think with the part paid firefighters, I think we'll take a kid at 18. I mean, I realize the cadets, you can start at 16, but I feel like we do offer that, and we have openings for part paid firefighters. They get trained. It's already a program that is already set up. Not that I'm trying to find less work for myself, but to set up a fire cadet program is a little bit deeper than writing a job description for a pool manager. So
As a
this is,
committee member, I'd like to see that tabled until the fire department comes
perfect.
up with a better plan.
Yeah.
It's not for me to decide. If
No,
they
it's,
need to have their ducks in a row. If this is something they really want to do, present me with your plan.
I think
just
I
don't
agree with you that it does kind of need to come from them.
Reserve officer.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
can we break it apart?
Yes, yeah,
And
I
say
think that,
yes to the police officer.
well, that's why I just asked to, discuss the cost, because that seemed to be something that you brought forward, Joanne, was what is going to be the cost. So for the reserve, I don't see a cost. For the fire cadets, I do see a cost, and I do see that we really don't have a plan. So not that there couldn't be one down the road, and I don't want to be the one that, throws cold water on this, so to speak, but I appreciate that you brought that forward, because I do think we need to move forward with the reserve program and wait on the cadet program, and encourage anybody that might want to be a cadet to consider being a part paid firefighter, because we do provide gear for them, and they get paid a little bit. It's not very much. I think $15 an hour when they're at a fire. But we do contribute to their retirement and their insurance, and it's a good program.
Well, the part paid, like you said, they get training.
Mhm.
So to me, if a cadet's gonna go to the same place those guys are going, they would
Yeah.
need the same training, and so that's a rough deal there. But no, I agree with what's been stated. Let's well, what I see here, Mayor, is we could just bring the reserve police officer program ahead at the council meeting. I mean, the other one, it's at our meeting. We've discussed things, but there won't be a motion. There won't be a motion. Yeah, excuse me. There won't be a motion to bring the fire police,
Right.
fire cadets ahead.
Right.
I mean, and so that won't be like, well, we're voting that down because we're not.
No.
That'll just be there for somebody in the future, like you said, Jason. I think
But I
they
don't think
bring
we
it
have
to us.
Or does the
The-
council have to?
The police department does have a policy, so, I think we would have to approve the program and their policy.
Okay, so that's what we'll do. And, yeah, I mean, anybody else have anything they want to say on that? So if that's okay, then we'll bring that part, the police ahead and the firemen, like I said, it'll be in the report that we've talked about it, but there will not be a motion for that. And that's where you and I guess, and everybody that puts all the details into the meeting come together on this. You want to go on to damaged doors,
Yes,
Mayor?
yes. So,
You and weren't mad out there trying to get in.
no, this is the entrance door to the Glendive Police Department. It's the public entrance door. And so it's 27 years old. It's damaged, beyond repair. It is in dire need of replacement. It's an aluminum door, frame and hardware. It's going to cost $9,980. So the sheriff's department, well, I guess it's the county really. It's the warden at the law enforcement center is asking, is there anything the city of Glendive would consider in helping us with the cost of this door? It would be greatly appreciated. So I'm bringing it forward to see what you guys say about possibly helping pay for some of the cost of this door. It is a county building. If you're opposed to it, you certainly, you certainly can be, because even though the Glendive Police Department uses it, it's also used by the public. It's used by the Dawson County Sheriff's Department. Everyone uses this door. So personally, I felt like if we can scrape some money together, any little bit would help. I thought in good faith, we could say that could try to help.
How much was it?
$9,980. $9,980.
You have any comments on that? Chief?
The mayor pretty summed it up, but that bill is installed with, a crew that comes in, and if that's fully installed, that's the door, and the cost is what it is. They are just very expensive doors. Had a nice talk with Sheriff Keenan and, Warren Tom Green about this, and they asked if there's anything the city could do. So they went through me and I sent it off to the mayor. This is the main entryway for the PD, the sheriff's office, and any public. And that is a shared entryway that is used for the last 27 years, around the clock, open 24 hours a day.
It's hard to get into.
It's sometimes, it sticks a lot, so people push the intercom button. It's been worked on for so many years that it can't be worked on.
Is the thinking something like a percentage, half?
I would
Third
say
or-
break it in. But, if it's part of the prison, part of the sheriff's office, part of the police department, 33%, ideally, if we had to help them.
I honestly think they'd be thick with that.
Oh, I do too. That was a little more than I was thinking, but, that seems fair. And I guess we can, if it's $3,000, more, and then at the next meeting, we can do a budget, one thing to another. I just want everyone to, that no matter what we do, we're criticized. So just be aware that if we don't do it, people are going to be unhappy. And if we do it, there's going to be some unhappy people. So
So,
I kind of feel like just
like what
be
Jason said.
fair. Mhm.
Mayor, then, we looking at this retroactively where we'll be able to, through your genius, come up with money and then it'll come to the council? I mean, you don't want us to try to approve.
I don't think
Something-
today, I don't think we
Yeah.
can, I mean, even though we have the budget in front of us, I'm not sure that we can sit down and find $3,000 to take from somebody to pay for this door.
Okay.
Now, we might be able to take a little money here and a little money here and a little money here. So
What about Mayor, this is putting the pressure on you, so you just shut her down right now. Just slam the door on it, Mayor. But we could agree to my favorite thing, the concept, and then on Tuesday you show up with the
with the plan.
details, and then
Okay.
the council approves it. And then we can get this thing fixed before.
Yeah.
Although I think, all right, I shouldn't make jokes here. Talking to my wife 27 years, I agree, your door doesn't need to be fixed until, or yes.
Yeah, no, I know how certain doors are like, cafeteria doors at the high school, and they're completely shot frame and everything. You're looking at like $75,000 for those set of doors. So commercial doors are just crazy stupid, and it's tough to try to deal with them. But I also want to say I'm totally in favor of 30% or third or whatever. But I also kind of just want to have a caveat that this is not a precedent setting. They
Every time something goes wrong, we're not gonna come up with 33%.
right.
I understand that this is the front door to the police. Department.
Yeah.
Been in it myself.
Yeah.
It's a pain.
And having said that, I don't want to sound non-appreciative or not a team player, but I just don't want to set a precedent that we might not be able to afford down the road. So I mean, this is a one-time deal.
So, but with no breaks, we may not be able to do the same
Right.
thing,
Or
what you're
if
saying.
the roof is bad
Yeah.
and it's a $2 million roof.
This was the, what does it call it? The rolling stone here that you stepped on, and now we're committed to the roof, which is millions. I think,
Okay, I'll try to come up with some
yeah,
ideas.
not
Sorry to
happening.
pile it on.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll see what I can come up with. And
If it doesn't work, then I guess we don't have it. as
well,
a
we might
motion.
be able to not make a whole third, but we'll try. That'll be our goal.
Okay.
But if up to, let's write in the notes, up to 1/3 of the cost, because like I said, I think they'd take anything. And here, it is something that we use, whereas, if it was, the flooring in their department or something, we're not gonna do that, but this is something that the police department uses, the public uses, and
The state of Montana uses, and they, big renter, and so retroactively increase the rent, which we don't really have the control over. I think it all goes through the legislature, but that's unfair on their part not to have to help keep up the installation that's taking care of their customers, essentially, the
anyways.
prisoners.
So we'll move that forward then?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
thank you. Cameras, this looks like an FYI, Mayor. You just
Yep,
wanna-
it is just an FYI. We have signs up, we have outdoor cameras. I just want everybody to be aware, because it's illegal to record anyone without their knowledge. So we do have signs up. We are recording outside the building, all the entrances, and also the ambulance building, the city court, and the back door of the ambulance building, our door, the side door. So just so people know that, if you come to City Hall, you are on camera outside. We don't have any cameras inside the building, but outside the building, we do. So just so everyone knows that we're not illegally recording anyone. we have signs posted, so that's all we really were required to do.
As a financial matter, on this issue, and thanks, Mayor, for bringing that forward. So, but do we have a contract with, a provider of cameras who then oversees maintenance and that type of thing like we do with other?
No, we just bought the cameras and
Bought the
had them
cameras and
installed.
So the oversight and upkeep of them is all on city personnel, essentially.
And they told me I could call if I have a problem with something.
Yeah, well, I think with the.
I think it's got a year warranty.
Or maybe even longer. It's
Oh.
typically, if you're, the whole thing with Verkada is you're paying for a license fee
Mhm.
for it. So the equipment is pennies and it's
Mhm.
just the licensing. So if you get a 5-year license, and I'm not sure how long the license you want for, 3-year, 5-year.
Yeah.
But anyway, then if a camera goes bad, you pretty much call them to make it sit in the camera. So
Oh, good.
it's pretty user friendly.
Then there must be standards on the cameras use film, and then so often they have to have the loops
It's not
replaced
film
and stuff.
No, it goes up to the cloud.
It's all digital.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's stored on the cloud for 3 months, I think, is all. We could have had longer, but like Rhett says, then it costs more. So what you're paying for are those kind of things. We're paying
Okay.
for the cloud storage and,
And Jessica be able to recover it from the.
don't know. It has been kind of interesting
Yeah.
to see.
Oh, when you watch your cop shows on TV, it's always the cameras that got all the
Oh, yeah.
nefarious behavior captured, even though they weren't doing anything to that building. They were doing it in that area. And
We can pick it up.
anything else that's not on the agenda then, Mayor?
Nothing that I have.
Okay.
That's it.
How about public comment? Anyone have a public comment they wanted to make?
If you do not want overtime for your city manager, for your pool manager, you should create a salary position with a minimum number of hours and you will fill in as required. So here's what you're getting paid, no matter how much you work. Your minimum hours are 38,
Mhm.
but it's your job to make sure the pool runs. And then there's no overtime. They agree to the salary, you're in. And I think most people would be fine with that.
Like a public school teacher?
Pretty much 75 hours a week, every week for the first year, and I cut it down to 60 in my second year.
For you.
Thank you. Any other public
And that
comment?
was not sarcasm. That was in recognition that I agree 100%. There are a lot of jobs where you have a salary, whatever it takes to get it done with the minimum and
And that I don't know for sure, Mike, if we're allowed to do that, if we're allowed to not pay someone for their work, that is something that I need to get clarification on, because we do have a number of salaried workers, but they accrue comp time.
right.
Yeah.
I think that could be something to be looked into,
Mhm.
because I don't think it's required.
You're not.
I'm gonna get that clarified by John.
I mean, it is, I kind of haven't said stuff for years, but comp time is a big perk
Oh, yeah.
for the city. A lot of other places you don't get.
Well, to be honest, then sometimes you look around the room and you think, oh my God, I'm the oldest person here. But not only that, I don't mean to, but I've been with the city a while. And when I started with the city, that was the common practice. So you know how it is when you get somewhere and this is going on, you think that's the way it is and has to be and forever. And so good questions and maybe, but I mean, it has been that way forever. So was it just political? Was it, is there some sort of basis in the state? But
They're not.
And that would be, is that a government agency or private? Oh, okay. Okay, but that's kind of what I was getting at, is if it's, a government thing or.
But like Greg said, that's a huge perk for our city. We already struggle.
We do. We struggle to get
getting
people
people
as it
to-
is, so we don't want to take away anything
But at
from
the
them.
same time, not with managers, but I have seen it that we use the city of Glendale too. So.
Oh, yeah, in the past.
Well, like with anything,
Mhm.
You also don't
Well, I
want
mean, I
someone
saw
who
some of the
like,
managers abuse the comp time.
I was just
Yeah.
saying for overtime, like, you don't set her up so that she's working 80 hours a week for attendance. But at
Well, that's what we do to Jessica.
Oh,
yeah, that's a pretty good salary. If she has to work 42 hours for that $25 an hour, it's the same thing. And it can rotate. If we're doing an event this evening, this week, next week, we're not doing one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're a good manager, you can manage your time. You're not trying to set her up to fail at 10. I figured that will keep you from getting the people who are like, I get an hour of overtime or 5 hours of overtime every week. Because I messed up the schedule or whatever.
well, thank you. Looks like we're adjourned 5:06. So thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Mike?
I can, just need more incentive.